Hello and welcome to episode 30. My name is Ross.
And I'm Craig.
It's time to put the kettle on because it's tea time.
Going strong with the brand still.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my work to arrive in the post, mate.
I got your Fitbit. I class as even.
Yeah, after I've ordered it. Right, now. My week, so I will start with the news.
Yeah.
First up. So, SpaceX, Starship SN10, which we were talking about last week because it was about to go up. It was delayed. Then it eventually did fly. It did its thing. It landed, and we were like... Then about 8 minutes later, it had what they refer to as a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Then it blew up.
Okay.
So the reason apparently was low on thrust due to partial helium ingestion. So careful. Ingestion can kill. So it had a rather heavy landing, which also crushed its legs and part of the bottom of the thing, which I think caused a fire, and then that fire eventually went kaboom. So the everyday astronaut, who I tend to watch when I'm watching this, what's going on, the guy's name Tim, actually called Tim Dodd, asked Elon whether they should just use bigger flaps or a net to catch the rocket. To which Elon replied, "Yeah, we were talking about that internally. Could just have it land on a big net or a bouncy castle. Lacks dignity, but could work." Right, this is for taking people up, going around somewhere, coming back. Can you imagine coming back on a flight where you go, due to landed approximately 30 seconds, make sure your seat belted, and then doing. So yeah, I don't think he's going to go with that idea. That's fun. Anyway, this is a bit more complicated, but we were talking about machines last week and how they're going to be taking over the world. Well, there's been another one of scientists' little breakthroughs, which I'll try and explain. In normal machine learning, training in AI can take a long time. So one of the processes for doing so is called reinforcement learning, which is an algorithm that repeats a problem over and over and over again, and the AI receives a reward when it gets it right. So each iteration, it goes round and round again, and eventually over time, it learns to pick the right answer quicker. But now some clever scientists have been using quantum effects. So with quantum, without quantum, you can only try one thing at a time. But I don't know whether you know much about quantum physics and entanglement and superpositions and stuff. I'm not supposed most people do. But basically, in the weird world of quantum, something isn't just in one state. It can be in multiple states at the same time. So effectively, what they've done is rather than a normal AI going, right, here's a scenario, is it left or right? If I go left, I got a reward, fantastic. I now learned something. In the quantum version of AI, they can go left and right and learn both at the same time. So, they don't have to go left or go right, get it wrong, and then not learn anything. They can do both. And it speeds up the learning process by something like 63%, which, frankly, the speed that, it said that, it takes a lot of time, but frankly, the time it takes an AI to learn something depends on the task, but the amount of time it takes that versus a human is already scary. So adding quantums to it is just going to make it, well, not only scary, but ununderstandable. It's probably not a word, but there you go.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I think that's the scary point, that it will soon. It already has superseded us if you start involving quantum computing, because we can't even we can't even understand that readily. The idea that something can happen and can't happen or may happen at the same time, like you said, it could go left, right, it could go both, it could go neither, all at the same time.
Yeah.
Is
try playing chess against that person.
Yeah, it's frankly ridiculous.
Yeah, so there's another scary development. And then my other little bit of news, I'll bring it back to earth a little bit more. We keep mentioning them. We're not sponsored by them, I promise, but Tesco's. They've taken another step.
Every little helps.
And it does. They've now rolled out a new soft plastic recycling points for customers. So that we can return old packaging, which I think is amazing. If I don't know, so far they've put them into 171 stores in the southwest of England and Wales. I haven't seen one at mine yet, but that's not to say I wasn't looking. But yeah, they did a trial in 10 shops that was successful. So they're rolling it out. So things that they will include will be food packaging, household and beauty products. So things like bread bags, pet food pouches, and crisp packets, all of which will be able to be returned, which would be great because people were returning them anyway, weren't they? They were going through a bit of a phase of just going, right, well, here's all my plastic packaging, you have it, Tesco's. But they've taken that and it's going, yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, Tesco's will also take plastic bags from you too. So not often, but I get a Tesco delivery, groceries. And recently I had to sort of my utility room. And I had 2 black bags full of carrier bags. And I asked the guy, can you recycle these for me? He said, yep, no worries. Put them in the grid. He took them. Amazing.
Wow.
Loved it.
Wow.
And they weren't obviously Tesco bags. Some were Tesco's, but you know, Asda, whatever. But it took a lot. They just said, yeah, we just melt them down, make new Tesco bags.
Cool. Well, there's an act for everybody. Because I think everyone's got a bag of bags in the house now.
Yeah, but they're 5 pence now. I mean, no, well, 10 pence in certain places. It's like, I bought this now. I'm gonna keep it, and then it builds up.
I now managed to get organized a little bit. I now have 2 in my glove box for any scenario because I keep going to Tesco's and then going. So I end up doing weird things like taking the basket back out to the car, if I can get away with it, unloading it onto the seat, and then taking the basket back in, and then driving home, and then taking it out of the car one at a time because I don't want to buy another bag because I already have too many. I keep forgetting. So yeah, that's what I do because I'm an idiot. But that's all I have for news. So over to you.
Cool. I got a few pieces. First one I'll start at home is the West Midlands. So more York side of the country than mine. However, they're trialing the idea of rewarding people for not using their cars.
Okay.
So you can already see that sounds interesting. That kind of feels like, yeah, okay. In today's world, at least, where you're not exactly going anywhere, I'll take some money for not driving. So this is all by the Transport of the West Midlands, or TFWM, and they've teamed up with University of Warwick for a 2-year trial aimed at persuading motorists to switch their cars to more environmentally friendly modes of transport, like e-scooters, green buses, all that type of stuff. Yeah. Even shared cars counts here. So you jump in someone's car, go to work, you could even get a bit of money for that. So you could even pay, towards your cost of that. It's quite cool.
Yeah.
So this is all because the West Midlands is going to host a £22 million future transport zone, which is kind of a showcase for the latest technology and connected transport. So it's kind of a bit of a show-off thing. And these are all really, come buy our buses. They're cleaner, they're greener, all that type of stuff.
All right.
So this is a showcase that's been hosted in the West Midlands.
Anywhere specifically in the West Midlands?
Just says the West Midlands.
Okay.
So, yeah. Don't know. County-wide, how many counties would come into the West Midlands, would you say?
I don't know.
3 or 4?
Can't be much more than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, University of Warwick. Let's say Warwick. Warwick's getting it.
I think it's called Warwick, isn't it? That's how we pronounce it.
Warwick.
Warwick.
Yeah, like that small guy, isn't he? He's Warwick someone.
Derek Warwick? I think it's a racing driver. Anyway.
Derek Warwick. No, I'm thinking the guy with the Ewok. You know, he's in Harry Potter. Warwick Davis.
All right. No, sorry.
Just tenable. Anyway, moving on. Amazon. So obviously, massively profitable bunch of guys, but they have now opened up a UK grocery store. So this is old and new news. Old is that they've trialed this for some time in London. The new thing is that they have actually now opened it properly. So it is the first one outside, that's the first one in Europe that has no tills. And the idea is you literally walk in, take your stuff, walk out. And it's all recorded. Everything is effectively scanned like a QR code on the products you take. And it charges your Amazon account. So you walk in, take what you want, walk out. And it knows what you've taken and charges you accordingly. So, as I mentioned, it was a trial, proved successful. Now it's going full steam ahead, and it's called Amazon Fresh. So we should be seeing probably a lot more of these in the near future.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't quite know how it works, but
it's completely staffless. So I suppose, yeah, it's a contactless store, which works in a pandemic-y world.
Yes.
But I think the idea of there's no staff, there's no tills, you walk in, grab your stuff, check them in a bag, leave. I mean, there's going to be people testing that out to see what they can get away with. But I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon's AI and camera tech is good enough to catch everything.
Well, it must be good enough for the fact they've rolled it all out already. I mean, following on from last week, if you work in a supermarket, don't.
I think we did mention that supermarket workers would be one of the first.
Yeah, no, but we were thinking, okay, so they're going to have more of those self-checkout things. But if we've already gone beyond that, then the idea of having one person doing one person every 10 minutes versus having one person does 10 people every 10 minutes to 0 people having 10 people every 10 minutes, then, you know, written on the wall, isn't it, really?
Kind of is, yeah. I can just imagine like an Argos, but there's no staff. You don't go to the counter and say a number. You just walk straight into the warehouse, grab wherever the hell you want, and just leave.
Yeah.
It's like, let's pop into Argos, get a couple of garden benches. Oh, they're down there. Cool. Go get them, just leave. Or maybe one of those cool little AI little driving forklift things can bring you some to the front.
You're going to have a little, how can I help you, sir? Right,
like a Wall-E type thing.
Yeah.
Wall-E. You need a bench, sir.
Bench over there, sir.
Yeah, straight home. And since Amazon is on a massive rise, and we did discuss a couple of weeks back of Rishi Sunak and his Amazon tax proposals and how he didn't actually mention anything in his budget. We was hoping for something.
Yes.
However, he has said something since, and he is proposing an online sales tax. So I wasn't aware of this, but budget came out a couple of weeks back on the 6th, and tax day is March the 23rd, where stuff like new taxes will be announced. So these will effectively be stuff like an online sales tax, and they're even considering taxing deliveries to cut down on the emissions. So there could be a few fair different tax avenues, which will all tally up to be an Amazon tax, effectively.
Well, Amazon, the same people who are also invested in Rivian, who are making electric vans, and thus will not have any emissions. So just as you manage to tax Amazon, they they don't need to be taxed anymore. As in the online tax would work better for them than the van one.
Yeah. But the good thing is that this isn't a UK thing, because I don't think we're strong enough perhaps to tackle Amazon in that way. They could just leave the UK and just do it in the Republic of Ireland, which they currently already do, to avoid the UK's tax laws. But we're in teams of up to 10 other countries, including the US under Biden, who all want the same thing. So I think a global initiative to have an online sales tax, now that could be very successful.
Yeah.
And this is all part of Rishi's proposed 10-year strategy on modernizing the tax system. So yeah, I kind of felt a bit flat after his budget, but that sounds interesting. There wasn't a lot of details so far, so we'll look out on March the 23rd, which is what, 2 weeks away. Yeah, we have a proposed tea time on the 24th, so we can cover it then in 2 weeks.
Cool.
And it's your session, so you'll be covering that one. Cool. A new thing for the UK. Do you remember the EU's Right to Repair Act that came out?
To do
in
with
December.
To do with Apple, right? Like you can't take the tablets apart. That thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So the idea is that you now have a right to repair, and it gets rid of the idea of premature obsolescence, where things are almost designed to fail, but you can't get in there to fix them. So obviously we've left the EU. Doesn't affect us. However, the UK does have new rules, which is effectively the same thing. So we are now proposing new rules for household appliances at first, so white goods, which will help cut down roughly 1.5 million tons of UK electrical waste each year. And they're doing this by, as I said, white goods, and they're doing it by effectively saying that manufacturers have to keep all parts in stock to repair any of the white goods they produce, and that be available to customers. So that's effectively your right to repair. And if anything was to break in your washing machine, then whoever made your washing machine has to have the parts at hand to fix it for you. You still got to buy them, but the idea is that you
more than you'd ever want to pay.
Fix. Well, I'm sure they can make it fair in some way, but
like
basically,
some of the parts shouldn't be more than the whole.
Yeah. The idea is to stop encouraging manufacturers to have a premature obsolescence strategy of, a washing machine that lasts 3 years. They'll buy another one in 3 years. Well, not if I keep fixing it, type of thing. I can keep it going for like 10 years. And that's the proposed time span they expect it to last. A white good should now last 10 years under new household regulations. So that'd be cool. It's not quite the EU's right to repair, but starting with white goods, hopefully we'll move up and we'll see where they go. Outside of that, I got a couple of news pieces which are not UK specific. First one, I won't tell you where it is, but see if you can guess.
No, I always get these wrong.
Oh, I know, but they're interesting. I'd like to see where you go with.
So
Europe already has a driverless electric bus. Can you think of where the hell that could be? It's not in the UK.
Is it on an island?
Yes.
So, is it?
You can guess a country if you want to. I don't think you can get the city.
Okay, good. I'm going to go with a Greek island. Right.
So Greek island. Close, like the thinking. I mean, Greece is absolutely broke, so I don't imagine they're doing it. But Spain. So when you said island, I thought you were going to go with Spain.
I was thinking there first, and then I thought, what, Ibiza? Can't think of it. Anyway, so was it Spain, was it?
Spain. So based on what we saw in Mallorca, I suppose we can already see that they're very much future thinking. And this is Málaga, where they have launched an autonomous electric bus service. First project of its kind in Europe. And all it does, it loops around an 8-kilometer circuit 6 times a day. It's a 60-seater bus equipped with sensors, cameras, etc., full of AI goodies. It does have a driver on board who can take control if necessary. And that's only because Spanish law does not allow fully non-driverless autonomous.
Yep.
So that guy's kind of sitting there, just where he take the steering wheel if needed, but he doesn't drive it. He's just a backup guy. So this thing is autonomously lapping around an 8-kilometer stretch 6 times a day.
Cool. Do we know who made that?
No, I didn't actually see a name. But it's a trial. It's expected to be coming to a handful of other European cities if it's successful. So you're thinking like Copenhagen, Hamburg, all those type of things. They're going to start getting more driverless electric shuttles and regular size buses. So depending on whether they use, that's technology that can be used today. Either way, it's quite cool of Málaga. They got the very first in Europe. No idea. To be honest, I had no idea I was even subscribed to Málaga News. So that's kind of popped up to me. So that's pretty good. Another one. So this, again, is a bit further away. But this is the idea of Uber for rubbish. A company called Recyclesmart will collect your waste, stuff that's not recyclable, such as batteries, soft plastics, and other hard to recycle goods, for as little as $2 a bag.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. So it's effectively exactly like an Uber. You just have an app, you book a collection, they'll come and collect it, off it goes. And it takes those non-recyclables and does its best to recycle them. So you could have like electronic waste or textiles, books, toys, whatever, and it'll try to divert them from landfill as much as it can. So it'll try to purposely recycle them. And yeah, $2 a bag. But right now it is only Australia. This is currently active in Sydney.
That is quite far away.
So it's quite far away. The other side of away. And yeah, $2, $2 Australian dollars per bag is pretty good though.
So far away, it's almost coming back.
Almost. But yeah, I really like the idea of Uber for rubbish. And yeah, I hope the system comes to the UK sooner rather than later.
Why not? I did. What I also want, which I'm sure I've mentioned before, but what I really, really, really want is a decent way of being able to also use other people's recycled material, like a scrapyard, but less crap. So, like, if I want some wood for something, then I could just go pick up a bunch of wood that someone else threw away for next to nothing. That's what I want. I think it's called a salvage yard or something, but like they're so few and far between, and it's very. You can imagine turning up to one and then feeling like you're in the wrong place. Want something a bit more Amazon-y, or a bit more. Like I want this kind of wood, please. Have it delivered, whatever.
Sellmywaste.co.uk.
Well, no, because it's not so much. It's trying to make use of, rather than it going to landfill, rather than it being recycled directly, but they're some good stuff that could actually be used by somebody else. They would collect it up somewhere, and then people could just walk in and go, or better still, order it online. I want some 2x4s. I want some bricks. I want some, whatever, and then it can just come to you. But it's like, doesn't cost as much as it would do normally.
No. There's a service at the moment which I do use, which is similar, perhaps. It's called Olio, and you can list things for free. It's kind of like Gumtree. It has to be for free, and you list them, and it's only for local residents that have to be collectible, effectively.
Yeah.
So you can list whatever on there. So, for example, if you had spare wood, you could list wood, could list bricks, whatever, and people come and collect them.
We've got Free Cycle, which is similar by the sounds of it.
similar. I think Olio is a bit more happy, as it's got a nicer.
It's probably experience. Just a very me thing. When I have an idea for a project, I just don't want to go and spend top dollar for expensive wood. I want to go someone go, right, look, this could go horribly wrong, and it might be trash at the end of it. So I want to just grab that, pay like a $5 for all of it, try and build it, and if it doesn't work, you can have it back as recyclable material. Yeah. So it doesn't matter so much.
Yeah.
It's wood these days. It's expensive.
Well, yeah. I mean, as you've seen before, like people get rid of pallets all the time. So you say, like, yeah, can I have 8 pallets?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, but you can't get it.
Leave outside your house.
Exactly. I want it delivered to me because I don't have a van. You know, all the things that you get from B&Q, which are 2 meters long. Well, I can't put it in my car, so what am I going to do? Anyway, I've got a tangent. Do carry on. Sorry.
That's all I have. That's all my news. So, what's the topic this week?
The topic this week, I felt like I wanted to. I've done one episode about investing. I've hinted on it on a few occasions, but the last month, it's been a bit of a catastrophic fall. The market crashed. So I thought I would talk about that for anyone who was interested in investing, and whether they've already been in, or maybe they're thinking of getting in. Now is an interesting time, so I thought I'd explain my view on what's going on. So, where shall we begin? But yeah, as I said, this last month has been a bit of a doozy, been a nightmare. It's been a crash. It's been panic-stricken, as stocks have dropped off by, like, in some cases 50%. So some of the big stocks that we've talked about on the channel, Tesla, Archimoto, the genomic stocks that are from ARK Invest, Virgin Galactic, all of them taken an absolute hammering. So Tesla dropped by 40% from its highs. So it was trading around $900, and then it went down to low $500. It has recovered in this week has been a sort of bit of a recovery week, nowhere near back to where it was, but Tesla, for example, has shot up quite a bit. It's up 15% from its lows, but it's still something like 20% down from where it was. Archimoto, the 3-wheeler car, not really a car, motorbike type thing, that's dropped 50%. It was trading in the high 30s, nearly 40s, dropped down to below 20. The ARK Invest genomics plays were also down 40% at one point. And Virgin Galactic, which hit $60 this time last month, now down to 26, or bouncing off from 26. It's like higher than that now, but 60, 26. So, question on everyone's lips in this world is, what the hell is going on? So for me, I think this is sort of a combination of something that started a few years ago, because for whatever reason there has been a definite trend towards retail investors, people like me and you, getting involved in the market. And I think Tesla is a large part of that, not to be blamed for, but as in first of all, the availability for average people to be able to invest via Robinhood and Trading 212 for the people in the UK has gone up. It's made it easier for us to get in. It's democratized the stock market to some extent. And normal people were hearing about Tesla and Elon Musk, and there was a few YouTube channels popping up saying about how it's a great company, producing great products, and the general sort of institutional analysts were saying no, it's a terrible stock. It's never going to happen. We're not going to have electric cars for another 20 years, etc. So it wasn't getting any sort of attention from anywhere else, only from the retail investors who just generally believed in Elon. So the retail investors saw an opportunity that the car market was ready for a disruption. Hadn't been disrupted for many, many years. I think Ford was the only other company in the last 100 years or something that hasn't gone bust. So yeah, so retail investors went, okay, I'm in on this. And what happened next was that they were proved right. The YouTubers were talking about them. Everyone on that side of things, they were right, and the institutional and the analysts, or all the people who've been doing this for years and were supposed to be the professionals, they all got it wrong. Even all the TV channels and stuff like your Bloombergs and things like that, they were all very wrong. So at that point, analysts became idiots and out of touch from our perspective, and even the great Warren Buffett was people were starting to question whether he was now out of touch, because it was a new era for us retail investors. Growth stocks is where it's at, and that's what was starting to happen. Then, of course, we had the pandemic. The US government started handing out checks to American citizens. There was stuff on social media about people becoming Teslaires, and other people who were claiming to be like pro investors who had basically hadn't done it for more than like a week, and just sort of perpetuated the craze to the point where more and more people wanted to become a Teslaire, wanted to become a millionaire, however they could do it. And then, as it happened, because of the pandemic, it was both an horrific year and also an amazing year. So if you were in heavy before the pandemic hit, then you got absolutely trashed. But if you held, then you were back to normal by September. And if you came into it after the checks started coming out and you put your money in then, you just absolutely tore it up. You would have, everything went up. So you cleaned up. It didn't matter whether you were right. You could just be brave, even just stupid and follow someone else, and you still would have done well. It became official. Stocks only ever go up, and basically anyone can do it. So that's kind of, that's where we've been at. It's the confidence has been building in the retail side of things. And then from about October, November 2020, the experienced investors on YouTube started to change their tune a bit. They were warning us that valuations were very high, that it was hard to find good deals now, and that despite the high prices and all the potential risk of it crashing, the prices still kept going up. So they were warning us, but nothing was happening. If anything, it was going up just as fast as it was before. They tried to tell us about, or obviously not just those people, but also on Bloomberg, it's all about reminding everybody about fundamentals. You're supposed to be looking at revenue and profit margins and catalysts that are coming up, and deals that will be struck. All the sort of normal things that only a business is doing well. But people were just ignoring that. They had the FOMO. They didn't want to miss out, and therefore fundamentals were irrelevant. If you're investing in growth stocks, well, it's growth stocks. Of course, it's high price. It doesn't matter. It will go there anyway. Everything is going to the moon. So that's where everyone was at. And then just after President's Day in America, it began. And obviously, as soon as the stock prices started to fall, and shortly after that, so did all the theories came out as to why it was falling. The most widely spread one, at least on Bloomberg, I think, has been to do with the Treasury yields. It's a bit complicated stuff, but basically the Treasury yield started to rise, which is actually quite normal in an economic recovery. But they were climbing so fast that it supposedly made some people scared because they thought that all the big money would come out of stocks and move into those yields because it would be a safer way of making money with a decent return. So that's what they thought was happening. And the weird irony with that is that obviously economic recovery is also good for the stock market. But if there's a safer place to put the money when your stock market's been doing well, then that's what happens. So that then crashes. And then if the normal process continues, then that happens. The yields are good. But then as the economic recovery continues, the money starts flowing back into the stock market again. So it was almost, if it was true, it was going to help the stock market in the long term. In the short term, it was just panic, run away. So that was the sort of the shock to the system. But then on top of this, obviously we've also got what happened to GameStop, which wasn't, which was before the crash, but not that long before the crash, because it started. Was it January? It started the GameStop stuff.
It exploded January 28th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So to quickly go back over what happened there, the basically, as I've said, the retail investors were on a bit of a rise. We're sort of building confidence at this time because everything's going well. We've had a great year. And then it was like we then thought we got so cocky that we started picking fights. They created a war in what's basically an area of the market that seems to be unfair. So the institutional investors do what's called shorting, which is basically the process of putting lots of money to say that a particular stock is not going to do so well in the future, and it forces the price of that stock down. So it's kind of like almost a self-perpetuating thing. This company's going to be terrible. I've got so much money as an institutional investor that I can go. I'm going to put all this money on saying that you were going to fail. So that it forces it down, and you can actually short more than it's even possible to own. So it's artificial, and so because of this sort of fake world of shorting, to some extent, it seemed to have got picked up by Wall Street bets as going, right, well, this part of the market's not fair. Yes, we can pick a Tesla, or we can pick another company to try and think, I think this will do well versus the analysts. But this bit over here is unfair because I actually picked this stock and I still get screwed by institutional investors because they've just got more money than I do. And that's not fair. So they started a fight. And basically for a little while, we were winning because by buying the stock back and raising the prices up, we flipped what was going to be a nice big gain for the rigged system into a massive loss for the rigged system. And obviously that wasn't good for the institutions. So, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, retail investors weren't able to buy any more stock, and the tables turned, and then it looked like they were allowed, the institutional investors were allowed to escape from this horrible mess that they were in. And then, of course, it ended up in the Congress. And, well, I say it ended up. It hasn't ended because it's actually still going. The fight is still going. Even today, it's still going. It rallied today up to $320 or something, which is 100% in the last week, 400% the last month.
Yeah, I just checked it now. 5 our time, it was $344, the highest it's got since the 28th of Jan.
Bear in mind, this is a stock that's probably worth, actually, genuinely, probably about $80, 80 to 100 or something like that, maybe, on a good day. Not 300 at all. So that fight in that particular area is continuing. So, but anyway, back to the crash. Maybe the crash is caused by treasury yields. It's possible, and the fact that they went up so quickly. Maybe all the retail investors who were just in their nice happy stocks, the genomics and the Teslas of the world, maybe they all just took their profits. I don't think so. But maybe. Or maybe the institutional investors decided to start shorting different stocks, maybe not GameStop anymore, because clearly that wasn't working. Maybe we should start shorting it something else. Maybe that's why GameStop is now up. Because maybe the institution have given up on GameStop because it's too. I mean, why would you at this point? If you've just had a big fight with them, why would you at this point now short that stock again? Personally, I would just go, we'll leave that one alone, shall we? Or we'll go and short something else because you can. So yeah, there's loads of different scenarios, but probably the one I think is the most sensible one is the one that comes from Kathy Wood from Mark Invest. She now considered apparently to be the queen of investing. You can buy a T-shirt which has Queen Kathy on it. True story. She thinks it's just cyclical. So lots and lots of money have obviously gone into these big growth stocks that for the investing in the future. That's what I mean by growth stock. And we all got excellent returns from those stocks in 2020. Meanwhile, the stocks that were left behind, your big airlines and cruise companies and all the classic pandemic screwed companies, all got left behind. So it makes sense that they went, well, we got an excellent return from this. It's probably not, we're now so highly priced that there's not enough returns to get in the next couple of years. So we'll go and put all this money into what would be the classic value stocks because there is still potential here. So that, for me, that makes the most sense. I've had my profit. Yeah. I'm now going to put it down here. But also that's...
I was going to say I would agree based on the fact that the vaccine rollout seems to coincide with this.
Yeah, and if you look at
we're getting better.
If you look at what's got punished, the Nasdaq has got hit harder than the other ones, and the Nasdaq is more full of these growth stocks versus the Dow Jones, which is less so.
Yeah.
So yeah, the money's just basically moved from one part of the market into a different part, and then obviously that's caused a bit of a self-perpetuating panic sell because it's gone down by 20%. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, is it going to go down by 50? You've got the media saying it could go down by as much as 90%. So you get the over panic, and then it overreacts, drops really, really low. You've seen it for the last couple of days. Especially Tesla had a 15% rise in one day, which is like everyone's panicked. They've all sold. It's gone right down. And then people have gone, wait a second, that's a very good deal. And then just go back in. So, or some people go back in, or other people go back in. And so you get a very sharp recovery very quickly. So that's generally what's happened. That's how we've got where we are. What I think is that our old friend Warren Buffett told us to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And I think the last few months has basically demonstrated both sides of that story. We were very greedy, especially retail investors, because there were a large number of, let's be honest, idiots who were just stonks, buying everything without any research at all. I mean, I'm not the best at doing large amounts of research, but I mean, I would at least go and check the revenue of the company. I would at least see whether it's a upward trend, whether they've made profit this year, things like that. So I do some due diligence, but some people would just be like, literally hear about a stock that someone else had mentioned and go, I'm all in. The classic one for me recently has been CCIV, the Lucid Motors company. That's a stock that's gained hundreds of millions of market cap purely based on the idea that they have got a car that they're going to sell. And because Lucid Motors has got lots of old Tesla employees, people think excellent. But they've not produced a single car yet. And yet the stock price was going to hundreds of millions worth of market cap. it would take years for them to, well, first of all, they have to sell some cars, and then it would have to sell lots of them in order to make up the money that the company was being valued at. And we don't know whether they even can make a car. They haven't gone through the production hell that Tesla went through. They've not done anything yet. So that's when we are about potential. Not saying that they're all idiots, obviously, but some potential opportunities for complete muppets to just go, CCIV. I got £1,000 from this check. It wasn't signed by Donald Trump like the last one, but anyway. So what I do want to pass on is that during this panic that we've just had, what we now have effectively is a stock market that is essentially having a Black Friday sale. And it's possible that there will be another Black Friday sale in a week from now, and it might even be better than the one we just had. But either way, you'll get an excellent deal if you were to buy now. Obviously, I can't give advice, but Tesla has recovered to $676 per stock the last time I checked it, which is just before the market closed today. It was 900. I believe that Tesla will be far exceed that amount, even its highs in the not too distant future, in the next couple of years. So I like the stock, and I'll leave it there, I think.
Had the end of there, didn't you?
Any questions that you might want to ask at this point?
Ultimately, as you know, I agree with most of what you're saying. I'm a lot more passive than yourself. So I like Tesla too. I like that stock, mostly because it simplifies my decision process. I don't really like being active. I don't really like testing the market and check it every day. I'll put money into something, and I want to check it in a week, month. And I don't particularly care if it's made 10% a day. I only care if it's made me 10% in a year, or more long term.
Yeah.
So I like Tesla for that. And from what I've read about investing myself, again, I'm not really experienced in these things. Behavioral investment is effectively get 10 to 15 stocks you're happy with. That's your portfolio. Stick with it. You will make money. They always go up eventually.
Yeah, I mean, like I have about that many probably. I'm sort of evolving to being own 2, 3 maybe really, really good stocks, and then just leave them alone. But I do enjoy the psychological ebb and flow of, so like take CCIV, for example, is a good example. Lucid Motors, as it will be after the SPAC stage. That is a stock that, as far as I know, hasn't produced anything. Could be completely full of fluff. It's potential that it finally does come out and it's a terrible car and nobody wants to buy it because it can't even do the specs that they claimed it could do. That could happen, but we won't know that that's going to happen until maybe I think September, October, maybe, when they're planning on doing their first deliveries. So between now and then, any sort of catalyst of news of saying there's pre-orders for this or anything that's exciting is the sort of thing that would make that particular stock go up by 10 to 15, 20%. As people wait for that moment to come, or even the day that they're going to go from CCIV to Lucid officially on the stock market. It's a sort of stupid thing that would make that stock go up through the roof, and it's fun to. I find that part fun as well. I almost want to buy the stock so that I can just wait for that little run to happen and then go, right, thanks very much, I'm a profit, I'm going to get out now before you lot realize what the hell's going on. I nearly did it with Nikola. And then I decided, I think I went in for like a day. I got a little profit and I went, okay, that's enough. And obviously that did tank, but you don't know when that day is going to come. So it's a bit risky. But
So that's probably exactly what I don't like. So like I don't want to live for 2:30, where I have to be glued to this now for the next hour.
Yeah.
I need to buy or sell, and it's going to happen, sooner or later. And I don't like that. I don't like that type of pressure. I prefer it just to be safe. And yeah, passive is my bag. So I've been convinced to be a bit more actively passive. So I think we're trading 2 and 2's pies. That does make active passive quite nice. I think I've got a nice mix there, but yeah,
I think I'm
can't
going to
live the same way you do in the market.
No, I think I'm going to go to 90% actively passive with my 2 or 3 companies, and then I'll have 10% for me just to enjoy myself playing off everybody else's.
Yeah, which put them in context, are basically gambles.
Yeah, they are. They're just that they're slightly more educated gambles, as in you can get
That's like saying put money on a sports team, because Man United should beat Portsmouth. They should have no worries. But
but it's not that though. It's not quite the same as that, because actually it's almost better because it's not about what the team can do. Actually, half the time, it's about what the fans think the team can do. So, if you've got Manchester United versus, I don't know, some small team, then there's a lot more confidence in Manchester United, even if their players are injured, they haven't played for 6 months, whatever. There are more supporters for Manchester United than there are for the other team. So I'm just going to bet on the fact that those people believe that Manchester United will win, even if they don't. And then before the match happens, I'll get out. So it's the run up to the match. There's loads of phrases like buy the hype, sell the news, or something. So you buy in before while everyone's talking about it. Oh, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be so much better than the Model 3. It's so much beautiful, blah blah blah. And then before they actually deliver a car, you go, "Thank you, I'm out."
Yeah.
That way, when the earnings come out and they actually haven't sold any cars, and people go, "Oh."
Yeah. I suppose it's kind of a hard mix, because your last chat about investment was invest in the future you want. So you still stick to those realms of ideas. For example, Lucid is an electric vehicle manufacturer.
Yes.
So it does loosely fit that. Hypothetically, you are hedging Tesla to be the big boy there, but you've got no problem with Lucid, even Nikola, being, I don't know, the Fiats of the electric world.
Yeah. So there's investing, and what I was just talking about then is not investing, it's trading. It's pure and simple. It's trading. But there's been loads of times where I could have traded on oil or some other nasty company. So I just make sure that even when I'm trading, I don't because I don't want to put a penny in a company that is doing the wrong thing. They might be faking it before they make it, type thing, like I think Lucid might be doing. But I'm not. That's okay for me. I'm all right with that. That is betting or gambling or trading, however you want to call it. But I'm not going to give any money to an Exxon or to a.
Yeah, even though they are pivoting, they're trying. They're trying.
Yeah, but are they though? Really, or are they just saying? The problem is, it's very easy to say, as we've covered with like Volkswagen and stuff. It's very easy to say that you're doing something when actually you're not really doing anything at all.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
No, fair enough. I agree, and good breakdown of the reason why it's crashed too. I wasn't really aware. I assumed it was something to do with the fact that the tech sector got massive over the last year. Everything died last March, which was kind of here comes the pandemic. Oof, let's get out. And the tech sector got massive because of that, and it's kind of gone back to where it was last March, effectively. Some things are a little bit higher still. Like Tesla hasn't quite gone back to where it was in March.
I don't think. Well, obviously some different stocks will be different, but as a general rule, most of them are they've dropped 20%, but they're still up. If you took it for a
Yeah.
year, still very much for a line like this goes all the way up, and then just it's a correction. It's not a major thing. Obviously, Tesla is a bit of a weird one because that's volatile. Actually, the weird thing is it's more volatile now in the last run, even though it was like since it's joined the S&P 500, it's been relatively. You would think expected to be more stable, but it's improved in the last month. Just mad.
It is.
It doesn't matter where it's going in the next week. What matters is where it's going in the next year. Elon's tweeting about his FSD, full self-driving, latest beta version. It's now within a week. It's going to be available for anyone who wants to press the download button and have that thing to test out. So that he'll have thousands of people of his million cars testing his new beta version. He sounds very confident that it's going to be ready soon. He said the one he drives, which is the beta that I think they might now be on, or maybe that's the one they're now testing, but they're already way beyond that. So yes, you got that coming. They've recently started a battery in Texas. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah, the secret battery plant. Yeah,
secret battery pack. Yeah, so Texas obviously had major blackouts and stuff, and at some point it was like energy was $8,000 or something stupid.
snowstorm, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, they've started supposedly making a battery, which makes sense because then they'll essentially moved to Texas. It's now their home, so it looks like they're going to fix the grid while they get there. So you got all that coming. We've got solar roof.
You got a great exodus from California to Texas. That does seem to be the new buy.
Yeah, it does seem to be. Yeah, but so we've got solar roof coming as well, which is they're now testing a new brown version of the solar roof. So there's obviously stuff's happening there. We're not quite sure. It's all a bit under wraps at the moment, but maybe that's what the new factory's for in the UK. Making tiles on the roof.
Just please be something. Please be cool.
Lots of conjecture based on nothing. Yeah. So Tesla's got so much going on. They haven't even it's got their HVAC systems and stuff that they've talked about doing. They've got all sorts of other stuff going on.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. Tesla could be $1,000 stock. It could get back up to where it was and more. My problem is always that it's got a bit of a bust problem with Elon. I think if something did happen to him, a lot of people are invested in Elon rather than Tesla.
Yes.
And I think that could be a bit of a bugger. And the whole Starlink IPO, which is due at some point in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, wherever, I think that could divert some cash from Tesla when people think, why would I be in a company that's only 4% owned by Elon when I can go over here for a company that's 100% owned by Elon? That type of stuff.
Or even looking at it as Tesla's grown, it's already matured as a company. Starlink's just starting out. It's my opportunity to be the next Tesla. So I'm going to move the money from Tesla. Yeah, absolutely. Because those kind of people that believe that highly in Elon won't be investing in anything else. So they'll take their 100,000, whatever it is, and they'll move maybe half of it into Starlink in the hope of bigger returns. So yeah, absolutely, it could happen.
Yeah, and even though, to be honest, Starlink, it doesn't excite me at all. If anything, I find it quite boring, to be honest, in comparison to self-driving electric vehicles. But I do like SpaceX, and Starlink is one stop away from SpaceX. And the whole news you talked about, the SN10 that did the whole flip and come back down again, amazing stuff. That to me is a lot more exciting than a self-driving car. A self-driving car, if anything now, has kind of got, we're going to have that. It's very boring now. It's going to be routine in the next few years. Whereas going to Mars, tourism, that type of stuff, that's just getting started.
There was also another, I can't remember the technical term is, but like a request for to be able to have, I can't remember the word is, but moving vehicle, or not necessarily vehicles, but in motion, I think it was. Essentially, the new Starlink satellite, the dishy flat face thing, the little antenna.
Oh yeah.
Right. So they applied to have that on things in motion. So they want so that they could have it on. They were quite non-specific in how they so potentially it could go on planes, it could go on trucks that have to move across the continent, or boats or whatever. But basically the idea, I mean, it could go on cars. Most people don't think it will, because most cars are going to be in populated areas, so it's more likely to go on the bigger vehicles. But yeah, the idea that you have boats that could just stick one of those on the roof. The semi truck could do the same thing. Even the Cybertruck could have one somewhere on it, so that you're camping and it's built into the truck. So it doesn't matter where you go camping, you'll always have pretty high speed internet, 50 to 150 megabits per second internet anywhere in the world, anywhere ever.
Yeah.
Now, I want that.
That's better than 5G.
It is. But yeah, so that's why it probably won't be on cars, because it would make more sense for cars to use the 5G if they're in that sort of area. But yeah, the idea of being able to get my Cybertruck with its tent thing on the back, drive up somewhere in the north of Wales, or even the west of Wales, Scotland, wherever, and it won't matter where I go, instant internet. Thanks very much. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
And on that bombshell, it might be time to end. Already bombshell.
All right, Jeremy Clarkson.
No. Right. Okay. So thanks for watching. Remember to think, educate, and act. And we'll see you next week.
Catch you next week. Bye-bye.